The first time Elena Ward looked at me like I mattered, it was not soft and it was not sweet. It was sharp and fierce, and it cut through the air like a warning shot. "Get your hands off him." She did not shout it. She snapped it. And in that moment, standing on her sagging porch with a storm rolling in and her enemy's wife gripping my arm like she owned it, I realized something had shifted between us. But that was later, before the storm, before the hearing, before the kiss that tasted like rain and relief. The first time I saw Elena Ward, she looked at me like I was trouble. We were behind Holloway's Hardware, cold wind pushing dust across the gravel lot. Her arms were folded tight across her chest, like she was holding herself together by force. Dark hair pulled back, jaws set hard, eyes sharp and tired at the same time. She had just watched me tell Robert Sterling no Sterling owned half the town. People bent when he smiled. 30 minutes earlier inside the store, he tried to adjust my schedule on Elena's roof. He suggested I rethink my price. He said it like he was helping me. I told him no, in front of witnesses. Now Elena was staring at me like she could not decide if that word was going to save her or destroy her. "Why did you do that?" she asked quietly. "I didn't agree to rush fees," I said. "We have a contract. Just the roof." "Just the roof," she repeated. "And we are strictly professional, Caleb." It was not rude. It was fear dressed up as manners. "I don't need a hero," she added. "I need a builder." "Lucky for you," I said, "I build things." Her left rear tire was low. Her propane tank leaned too close to the house. She did not even notice. That told me how tired she was. When her car door opened, I saw courthouse papers on the seat. Bold stamps. Words like judgment and lien. "My ex hid debt," she said quietly when she caught me reading what I could see. "Then he left. The court split it anyway." Her hands shook as she gathered the papers. "If I can't refinance, the lien hits in 60 days. Sterling knows that. He wants to force me to sell cheap." "You're not protecting a house," I said. "I'm protecting my exit." That was when Sterling's black SUV rolled up beside us. Window down, smile calm and clean. He handed her a thick envelope. "Monday," he said. "Bring your checkbook, or let the clock do its job." He drove away like time belonged to him. I could have walked then. The roof was in my contract. Her debt was not. But I have never been good at watching something collapse when I know where the support should go. "I'll be there at 7, I said. She blinked. 7. Safety first. The Ward house sat at the end of a narrow gravel drive. Old siding, porch corner sagging. Water draining straight toward the foundation like it had been trained to attack. She met me at 7 on the dot with a clipboard held to her chest like armor. "Roof first," she said. "Porch first," I answered. "The contract. Doesn't matter if you fall through it." The deck corner was sinking. Rotten post, hiding under dry boards. Slow water damage, the kind that never screams. Just waits and rots. "That's extra," she said. "That's survival." She moved aside. Inside, the house smelled like dust and pine. The furnace was open and half taken apart. "It turns on, then shuts off," she said. "Last guy wanted 3,000. Last guy didn't want to crawl." I laid my tools out in a straight line on the floor. Meter, drivers, probe, parallel. Order calms me. Chaos does not get to win in my space. She watched my hands steady as I worked. Clogged trap, kinked hose, dirty flame sensor. I cleaned it, reset it. Flipped the switch. The burners lit in a clean row. Warm air rolled into the hallway. Elena stepped closer to the vent, like she did not trust comfort. Her fingers hovered over the heat before touching it. "It's running," she whispered. "Yeah." For the first time, she looked at me without suspicion. "Show me you can do that to everything else," she said. That was half challenge, half plea. She brought out Sterling's paperwork. Maps. Survey lines. He was claiming a strip of land by the creek. The only flat place for a future septic system. The only thing keeping her property valuable. "Who did the old survey?" I asked. "Tom Hensley. He's retired." "We verify the markers." "With what?" she asked. "With proof." She studied me like she was searching for the trap. Then she slid an old folder across the table. Notes. Sketches. A faded photo of a mossy stone with a chisel mark near the creek. "In," she said. By noon, I had replaced the rotten porch post, jacked it up slow, cut out the rod, anchored a new base, lowered the weight back down. The deck held. She let out a breath like she had been holding it for years. "You've been walking on that every day," I said. "Every day. And you're still here." She did not like needing help, but she liked losing even less. That afternoon, I climbed onto the roof anyway. Storm clouds stacking on the horizon, shingles curling, flashing, lifting. She held the ladder steady below. "You good up there?" she called, better than in a courtroom. She laughed, short, real. By the time I climbed down, wind had picked up. She handed me coffee with both hands like it meant something. Later that day, a car rolled up the drive. Mara Sterling. Perfect hair. Clean boots. Phone in her hand. She did not knock. She walked straight to me. "Caleb," she said, smiling, "you didn't return my call." "I didn't get one." She tilted her phone. A zoomed-in photo of me and Elena in the hardware lot. Sterling's SUV in the background. A caption ready to cause trouble. "People are talking," she said. Behind me, the front door opened. "Hi, Mara," Elena said flatly. Mara stepped closer and wrapped her fingers around my forearm like she was staking a claim. "I can help you," she murmured. And that was when Elena snapped. "Get your hands off him." Elena did not move from the doorway. She did not step forward. She did not raise her voice again. But her eyes were locked on Mara's hand like it was something dirty that did not belong there. I lifted my arm and shook Mara off without force. "Put the phone away," I said. "Or what?" she asked, smiling. "Or you explain to a judge why you're spreading photos during an active property dispute." I answered. "That could look like interference." Her smile thinned. Behind me, I could feel Elena's breath change. She had not expected me to speak that language. She thought I only knew lumber and nails. Mara slipped her phone back into her pocket, but her eyes stayed sharp. "Robert files Monday," she said to Elena. "You're going to miss your deadline." Elena's jaw tightened. She did not answer. "There are easier clients, Caleb," Mara added. "Ones without this much baggage." "Leave the property," I said. This time she looked at me like she had finally seen me clearly. Not someone she could charm. Not someone she could use. "See you at the hearing," she said, and walked back to her shiny car like she had won something. The engine faded down the gravel drive. Elena stood stiff beside me until the sound was gone. "She's going to ruin me," she whispered. "She's going to try," I said. "But trying isn't winning." She looked at me like she wanted to believe that, but did not know how. Inside, the house felt smaller after that. The furnace hummed steady in the background. The porch did not sag anymore. The storm clouds were closer now, pressing down on the sky. We ate grilled cheese and tomato soup in the kitchen. She moved around the stove like someone who had been tired for a long time. Not weak, just worn down. She did not say thank you for the repairs. She refilled my coffee without asking. That was her version. After we ate, she stared at the lien notice on the table. "What if we go to the police?" she asked suddenly. "They'll call it civil," I said. "They'll tell you to get a lawyer." Meanwhile, Sterling files. The bank hears half a story and panics. The clock keeps ticking. She gripped her mug tighter. "So what do we do?" "We make it boring," I said. She frowned. Boring wins in court. Certified copies, photos, statements. Proof so clean nobody wants to argue with it. Her eyes searched mine. "The judge doesn't have to like you," I added. "He just has to like your paperwork." She nodded once. Small, firm. "Okay," she said. "Then we make it boring." Saturday morning, we drove to the county records office. The building smelled like old paper and coffee. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. A clerk behind the glass watched us the way small towns always do, like she was adding a new chapter to a story she thought she already knew. I asked for certified copies of the deed and any old surveys mentioning the creek line. Forms, fees, waiting. Time moved slow in places like that. Sterling counted on that. When the printer finally spit out the copies, I felt something settle in my chest. Paper that mattered feels different in your hands. Outside, Elena held the stack like it might disappear. "Where's Hensley?" I asked. "Orchard Road," she said. "He doesn't answer unknown numbers." "Good," I said. "We won't call." Hensley's house looked like it needed the same mercy as Elena's. Sagging porch, peeling paint. He opened the door with suspicion in his eyes and a cane in his hand. "That strip is hers," he said before we even sat down. "Not comfort. Fact." He pulled out an old field notebook and flipped to a page with neat lines and careful measurements. "Stone marker at the bend," he said, tapping the page. "I set the pin off that rock. If someone moved the pin, that's their problem. The rock is older than all of us." He wrote a short statement in steady, shaky ink. Date, marker, description. Elena watched his pen like it was stitching her future back together. When he finished, he looked at her over his glasses. "Don't let them scare you into selling cheap," he said. "Or into doubting yourself." She swallowed and nodded. We got his statement notarized that same day. Stamp, signature, witness. Boring. Sunday morning, we went to the creek. Cold air. Dark water running fast. Bare branches rattling overhead. "It's not here," Elena said after 10 minutes. "Maybe it washed away." "Maybe." "Stop," I said gently. I walked farther along the bend and crouched near a flat stone half buried in moss. "Here." She slid down the bank beside me, boots slipping in wet dirt. I brushed away the moss. A shallow cross mark showed in the stone. Her breath caught. "That's it." "Photograph it wide and close," I said. "Turn on location, then video from the fence so the path is clear." She did exactly that. Her voice shook at first, then steadied as she described what we were seeing. We measured from the rock to the old fence and to a stump Hensley had drawn decades ago. I wrote the numbers down. Sterling could pay people to talk. He could not change the age of that stone. By afternoon, the sky turned heavy and gray. The storm warning came in just before dark. Wind advisory. Heavy rain. Freeze overnight. We worked until our hands were sore. Extended downspouts. Dug trenches. Stacked sandbags near the crawlspace vent. When I said hold, she held. When I said step back, she stepped back. Not obedience. Trust. The storm hit hard after 9. Wind roared like a train. Rain slammed sideways against the siding. The lights flickered once, twice, then went out. For one breath, the house went black. Then, the generator kicked on. Soft yellow light filled the room again. Elena stood in the living room staring at the windows. "He could come," she said quietly. "He likes storms." "He won't tonight," I said. A loud metal bang hit the side of the house. "The gutter," I said. "I'm coming," she answered. Outside, rain hit like needles. The trench was working. Water flowed away from the foundation instead of straight at it. The gutter at the back corner was loose, slamming against the siding. I set the ladder and checked it twice. She grabbed the rails and held them tight. "Don't let it shift," I said. "I won't." Wind pushed hard. The ladder rocked once. "I've got you," she said through clenched teeth. When I climbed down, rain ran off my jacket and sheets. She swayed slightly in the mud. I reached out on instinct and caught her waist. Her body went still under my hand. Her breath caught. She did not pull away. For a second, the storm was loud around us and quiet between us. Inside, heat wrapped around us again. Her hair was damp. Her cheeks flushed. "My ex used to disappear when things got hard," she said. "He'd charm people, then vanish." "I'm not asking you to trust wrong again," I said. "Then what are you asking?" she demanded. I lined the flashlights and spare batteries on the counter in a straight row. Small order against big chaos. "I'm asking you to decide what you want," I said, "and I'll build toward that." She stepped closer slowly, her hand pressed flat against my chest. not grabbing. Checking. I did not move. Her fingers curled slightly into my shirt. That was her answer. I leaned in slow. She did not step back. The kiss was firm and urgent, like months of held breath finally released. She tasted like coffee and rain. When we pulled apart, her forehead rested near mine. "This doesn't fix everything," she whispered. "No," I said, "but it helps." Outside, the storm kept hitting the house. Inside, the walls held. So did we. The storm was gone, but it left branches in the yard and mud on the drive. The porch held. The gutters held. The trench we dug had done its job. Elena stood in the kitchen with her folder pressed to her chest again, not like armor this time, more like something she was responsible for. "You don't have to come," she said quietly. "I know," I answered. She nodded once, like that was enough. The town hall meeting was not a courtroom yet, but it felt close. Folding chairs, fluorescent lights, a long table that tried to look official, people pretending not to watch while watching everything. Sterling sat at the front like he owned the air in the room. Calm. Clean suit. Fingers laced together. Mara stood near the back wall with her phone down at her side, eyes moving between Elena and me. Elena walked in steady. Jeans. Plain sweater. Chin lifted. I walked beside her but not in front of her. Sterling's lawyer slid papers across the table. "We're offering a fair purchase to avoid litigation," he said smoothly. "Fair," Elena repeated. Her voice was flat. Sterling leaned back in his chair. "You're drowning, Elena. Take the life raft." Her jaw tightened. Before she could answer, I slid my own folder forward. "Before anyone talks about updated surveys," I said evenly, "look at the original deed description and marker evidence." The lawyer looked at me like I had just spoken out of turn. "And you are?" "Contractor, witness, the man who paid for certified copies." I opened the folder. Stamped deed copies, Hensley's sworn statement, photos of the stone, printed stills from the video with coordinates and measurements. Paper. Clean and boring. The lawyer flipped through them. His mouth tightened. Sterling's jaw flexed once. "This contractor has been alone with Ms. Ward during an active dispute," Sterling said. "There are photographs. The town is already talking." Heat rose in my neck, but my voice stayed steady. "If Mr. Sterling wants to imply misconduct," I said, "he can do it on the record. And explain why he's spreading gossip instead of discussing boundary evidence." The room went quiet. The mayor cleared his throat. "Mr. Sterling," he said, "do you have a response to the marker evidence?" "We'll need to review," the lawyer answered stiffly. "Take your time," I said. "Her lien clock doesn't." That landed. The mayor leaned back in his chair, tired in a way that said he had seen this game before. "I'm ordering a continuance," he said. "Expedited review. No pressure on sale, no interference until this is settled." Sterling did not get his signature that day. In the hallway afterward, Elena's breath finally shook. "We didn't win," she whispered. "We didn't lose," I said. "We bought time." Across the hall, Sterling stepped close enough that I could smell his cologne. "You think you're her savior?" he asked quietly. "I think you're a bully with paperwork," I answered. His smile sharpened. "I still win." He walked away like he believed it. The real hearing came a week later. A small courtroom, wooden benches, a clock that ticked too loud in the silence. Sterling and his lawyer on one side, Elena on the other. I sat behind her, close enough to reach forward if she needed something, but far enough that she stood on her own. The lawyer tried to call the stone an informal marker. Tried to say it meant nothing. The judge studied the certified copies, the deed description, Hensley's affidavit, the photos. "Mr. Sterling," the judge said finally, "you do not get to redraw a line because it benefits your future project." Sterling's jaw clenched. "I'm issuing a temporary injunction," the judge continued. "No interference, no contact outside counsel. That strip stays where the deed placed it until review is complete." The gavel hit once. It sounded final. Outside on the courthouse steps, Elena sucked in a breath like she had been underwater and just reached air. "We bought time," she said again. Yeah. Across the street, Sterling stood by his SUV, Mara beside him, watching. I still want to sell, Elena said quietly. I still want out from under the debt. Good, I said. Wanting out isn't weak. She looked at me like she was measuring something bigger than landlines. I don't want to run because someone scared me, she said. I stepped closer, careful not to crowd her. I don't want a clean slate, I said. I want a foundation. Her breath caught. She studied my face like she was testing whether I meant it. I can do that, she said slowly. Start over. On something solid. Then she rose on her toes and kissed me right there on the courthouse steps. Quick, firm, no hiding. People walked past. Cars drove by. She did not care. When we pulled apart, she slid her hand into mine. That was new. 2 weeks later, the title company called. The survey review matched the original deed. The stone marker held. Sterling's claim collapsed under the weight of paper that did not care about his ego. The bank approved the sale. Not a fire sale, a real one. After fees and divorce costs, what landed in Elena's account was not a fortune. It was freedom. She stood in her kitchen staring at her phone screen. It's gone, she whispered. The lien, the debt. You're free, I said. Her eyes filled before she could stop them. She crossed the room fast and pressed her forehead to my chest. Her hands gripped my shirt not to pull me closer, just to feel something steady. What now? She asked. Now you decide, I said. Where you want to go. What you want to build. She leaned back and looked up at me. Stay, she said. I did not answer with a speech. I kissed her slow. No storm, no court date, no pressure. Just warmth and choice. When we pulled apart, I glanced toward the porch. Tomorrow, I said, we finish the trim on that railing. Make it look like it was never in danger. She laughed. Soft, real. Of course you would say that. I'm good at making things stop falling apart, I said. Her fingers slid between mine again. Outside, the creek ran quiet around the bend where the old stone sat, holding its line. Inside, the furnace hummed steady. The house held. But some storms do not leave quietly. And some men do not lose without trying one last time. By Saturday morning, the house looked the same from the outside, but it felt different inside. Boxes lined the hallway. The walls were bare where pictures had hung. The porch railing stood straight and finished, like it had never sagged. Elena stood in the living room with sunlight pouring through the front window. No storm, no paper spread across the table, no lien notice staring at her, just space. It's strange, she said. I thought I'd feel lighter. You don't? I asked. I do, she said slowly, but it's quiet. And I'm not used to quiet. Freedom can feel like that. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. She glanced at it, and her shoulders stiffened. Sterling, not through a lawyer. Direct. She looked at me. You don't have to answer, I said. She held the phone in her hand for a long second, then pressed decline. A few seconds later, it buzzed again. This time she answered, but she put it on speaker. What? She said evenly. His voice came through smooth as ever. You sold, he said. Fast. At market value, she replied. You think this is over? He asked quietly. She did not look at me. She looked straight ahead. I don't owe you anything, she said. You owe me access to that creek for my future project, he answered. You blocked that. It wasn't yours, she said. A pause. You got lucky, he added. No, she said. I got proof. Silence on the line. Then, softer, colder. Careful who you trust, Elena. Contractors move on. She did not flinch this time. Goodbye, Robert. She hung up. Her hand trembled once after she set the phone down, but she did not let it shake twice. I stepped closer, but I did not touch her until she reached first. Her fingers slid into mine. He hates losing, she said. He hates control slipping, I answered. She exhaled slowly. Are you going to move on? She asked quietly. There it was, the real question under everything. I'm not here because of a roof, I said. She searched my face like she always did when something mattered. You're not trapped, she said. You don't owe me anything. I'm not staying out of obligation, I answered. I'm staying because I choose to. Her throat worked as she swallowed. Say it clear, she whispered. I'm not going anywhere. The words landed heavy and simple. No drama, no storm, just truth. She stepped into me fully then, arms wrapping around my waist. Not testing this time, not checking for weakness. Holding. I told everyone we were just friends, she said into my chest. I remember. I needed control. I needed rules. And now? She leaned back enough to look at me. Now, I don't want rules that keep me alone. I brushed a loose strand of hair away from her face. Then don't. A car engine sounded on the gravel drive. We both froze for half a second. Old habits. Old fear. But when we looked out the window, it wasn't Sterling, it was the new buyer. Early. With a truck and a trailer. Reality. Transition. Elena laughed softly. Guess that's my cue. We spent the next hour carrying the last boxes out. The buyer walked through the house with polite excitement, talking about paint colors and garden plans. Elena handed over the keys on the porch. Her hand did not shake. When the truck finally pulled away and the house was no longer hers, she stood at the end of the gravel drive and looked at it one last time. That house almost buried me, she said. It didn't, I answered. No, she agreed. It didn't. She turned to me fully then. So where do we build? She asked. There was no panic in her eyes anymore. No deadline ticking behind them. Just possibility. We could start small, I said. A place that doesn't leak. A porch that doesn't sag. She smiled. And land that holds its line. Exactly. She stepped closer, sunlight catching in her hair. And us? She asked softly. We build that too, I said. Slow, straight, no rot hiding under clean boards. She laughed at that, shaking her head. You really do talk like everything is construction. Everything worth keeping is. She rose on her toes and kissed me again, not urgent this time, certain. When she pulled back, she rested her forehead against mine. I don't need a hero, she said. Good, I replied. I'm just a builder. Her fingers tightened around mine. You built me time, she said. You built me proof. You built me quiet. And you built trust, I answered. A breeze moved through the trees near the creek. The same creek where that old stone still sat, doing its job without noise, holding a line. She had once said we were strictly professional. But when another woman put her hands on me, she had snapped without thinking. Get your hands off him. That wasn't professional. That was personal. Now she didn't hide it. Now she didn't need to. We walked down the gravel road together, not because she needed saving and not because I needed fixing, but because we chose the same direction. No storms overhead, no court dates waiting, just ground that held firm under our feet. And this time nothing was sliding away.